Catherine, Duchess of Kent, has died at the age of 92. Buckingham Palace confirmed the news earlier this week. She passed away peacefully after a long life of service and humility. Her passing has brought deep sadness to the royal family, and to many across Britain. Catherine was not among the most public royals, yet she touched countless lives through her work, her faith, and her kindness. Today, we are going to tell you about the details of her funeral, which will take place on Tuesday, September 16th. We will also look back at her remarkable life and the quiet but lasting mark she left on the monarchy. Catherine Lucy. Mary Worsley was born on February 22, 1933, in the village of Hovingham, Yorkshire. She was the only daughter of Sir William Worsley and Joyce Worsley. The family lived at Hovingham Hall, a grand estate that had been in their family for generations. Catherine's upbringing was privileged, but also deeply traditional. She was educated at convent schools, where she developed discipline, faith, and a deep appreciation for music. Music became one of the great passions of her life. She studied piano and violin, and music continued to play a role in her personal journey and later in her teaching. From her youth, Catherine displayed a quiet, thoughtful nature. Unlike many who would marry into royalty, she was never drawn to public attention. Instead, she valued privacy, faith, and family life. In 1961, Catherine married Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, at York Minster. The ceremony was a grand event, attended by Queen Elizabeth II and members of the royal family. Crowds lined the streets to catch a glimpse of the bride and groom. The marriage brought her into the inner circle of the monarchy. As the Duke of Kent's wife, she became a cousin by marriage to the Queen and part of the extended Windsor family. From the beginning, Catherine set herself apart. She carried out public duties alongside her husband, attending royal events and supporting charities. But she also maintained a strong sense of individuality. She often preferred quieter engagements where she could meet people directly, away from the cameras. One of her strongest commitments was to education and music. During the 1990s, Catherine took the unprecedented step of teaching music in schools. She worked in Hull and other areas of Yorkshire, often under the simple name Mrs. Kent. Her students often had no idea. They were being taught by a duchess. Her work was not symbolic. It was practical and hands-on. She gave lessons, prepared students for exams, and encouraged young people to discover the joy of music. This decision was highly unusual for a member of the royal family. Most royals limited their public service to patronages and appearances. Catherine, however, rolled up her sleeves and entered classrooms. She believed in giving something back to communities that needed it most. This earned her respect far beyond royal circles. It made her one of the most relatable members of the monarchy. In 1994, Catherine made another remarkable decision. She converted to Roman Catholicism, becoming the first senior royal to do so openly since the Act of Settlement of 1701. For centuries, Catholicism and the monarchy had been divided by history. For a royal duchess to take this step was extraordinary. It did not affect the line of succession, but it sent a powerful message of personal conviction. Catherine kept her faith private, never using it for publicity, but those who knew her recognized how important it was in shaping her life. Now, after her passing, Buckingham Palace has confirmed the full details of her funeral. Her coffin will first rest in the private chapel at Kensington Palace. On Monday, September 15th, it will be moved to Westminster Cathedral in London. There, the rite of reception will take place. That evening, vespers will be held, marking the solemn beginning of the farewell. On Tuesday, September 16th, at 2 p.m., local time, the Requiem Mass will be held at Westminster Cathedral. This service will make history. It will be the first Catholic royal funeral in modern times. The service will be led by Catholic clergy and will follow the traditional liturgy of the Mass. It will include prayers for the soul of the departed, scripture readings, and sacred music. King Charles and Queen Camilla will attend. Their presence is significant. As the Supreme Governor of the Church of England, the King attending a Catholic funeral underscores his vision of inclusivity and respect for all faiths. Other members of the royal family will also be present, including the Duke of Kent, the Duchess's children, George Windsor, Lady Helen Taylor, and Lord Nicholas Windsor. Lord Nicholas, himself a Catholic, has often spoken about his faith. For him, the service will carry especially deep meaning. After the service, the coffin will be taken by hearse to Windsor. Catherine will be laid to rest at the royal burial ground at Frogmore. This site has been the resting place of many royals since the 19th century. Among them are Queen Victoria's descendants and the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Catherine's burial there will place her firmly within royal tradition, even as her funeral service breaks from it. On the day of the funeral, Union flags will be flown at half-mast across all royal residences. This includes Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and other official sites. The gesture will symbolize national mourning and respect. Westminster Cathedral itself will provide a striking setting. Built in the early 20th century, it is the largest Catholic church in the country. Its Byzantine-style mosaics, its high altar, and its renowned choir will create a solemn and powerful atmosphere. For a woman who loved music, the cathedral's choral tradition is a fitting tribute. The public reaction to Catherine's death has been filled with admiration and respect. Many tributes highlight her humility, her decision to live quietly, and her unusual choices as a royal. She stepped away from royal duties in her later years. She did not seek media attention. Instead, she focused on her faith, her family, and her teaching. In many ways, Catherine represented a different model of royalty. She was not defined by ceremony or by public display. She was defined by personal conviction, by faith, and by service at the community level. For ordinary people, that made her unique and approachable. The upcoming funeral will therefore be more than a family farewell. It will be a moment of national and historical importance. For the monarchy, it represents both continuity and change. Continuity, because she will rest at Frogmore alongside generations of royals. Change, because her Catholic Requiem Mass at Westminster Cathedral breaks with centuries of tradition. This duality reflects the life she lived, a life rooted in tradition, yet marked by independent choices, a life shaped by royalty, yet defined by humility, a life guided by faith, music, and service. As September 16th approaches, all eyes will turn to Westminster Cathedral. The bells will ring. The cathedral will fill with music and prayer. The royal family will gather to mourn, and the nation will say goodbye to a duchess who lived differently from most of her peers. Catherine, Duchess of Kent, will be remembered as a woman of quiet strength. She was a teacher. She was a mother. She was a woman of deep faith, and she was a royal who redefined what service could mean. Her story is not one of glamour, but of conviction. It is not one of ceremony, but of humility. And it is not one of power, but of compassion. On September 16th, Britain will bid her farewell. Her legacy, however, will endure through the students she taught, the charities she supported, and the faith she embraced. Duchess who chose to live simply will now be laid to rest with dignity.